Hi everybody, Steve Purcell here from Goodness Street Life. I'm reaching out to you all today. I'm actually standing in front of Ipswich City Council following on from a meeting I've had with the planning department with regards to our project, Helens Haven. Now you may know that we've been trying to take on a project at the Waruna Hotel, the old Waruna Hotel, and turn that into a crisis centre so we have more accommodation, more crisis beds for people in our community, as well as providing a drop-in centre so people can come down to us at any time to get a free meal, to get support, counselling, crisis care, mental health, all of the things that are desperately needed in our community. Now we know that across Ipswich there are over 1,000 people that are homeless, and we know that in Goodna this area is concentrated. We have several hundred people on the streets. These go from teenagers to the elderly, to the infirm, to people with mental health problems. We have a lot of homelessness and significant health issues going on in our region right now. Now, unfortunately, following on from the conversation that I've just had with the Council Planning Department, there is no way under the current legislation that we could get this site, the Old Waruna Hotel, approved. Now look, this site is perfect for us in the sense that it's a pre-existing building which provides all the infrastructure that we need. We have motel rooms. We will meet all the state government legislation to provide rooming accommodation to people whilst we address their needs and help them transition back into independent living. We've got a restaurant, we've got a kitchen, we can provide training and support, we can provide free food, not just for the people who are coming into our centre, but we can expand that out to people in the community, pensioners, everyone who's struggling, so nobody goes hungry in our area. There is so much good that we can do here because unfortunately there are no other sites that are located near public transport, near employment services, near mental health, doctors, clinical assessment, all of those services. There is no other place in Ipswich that actually provides that is outside of a flood zone. To actually build a crisis centre and accommodation in Ipswich would cost millions and millions of dollars, but unfortunately no one is spending that money to support vulnerable people. So we as an independent charity are having to pick up the pieces. So this is wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, the people in the planning department, they're trying to do what they can do within the legislation, but the legislation is flawed. The argument that they have, or the restrictions that they have, is that because this area is in a flood zone, and we know, look, I'm a greenie. I come from a climate science background. I know that floods are going to get more severe and more significant, and planning for these sort of things is going to be vital for our community, vital to meet all of our needs, not just community use, but for everything that we try to do. Floods are going to get worse, and we need to have a strategy to deal with them. Now, in my view, excluding uses that provide crisis and much needed support in ideal locations because there is a general rule that says this is a flood zone, this can't be done, is actually incredibly naive and counterproductive and incredibly ridiculous, given that the area that we're trying to build this building, there are hundreds of people already vulnerable on the street right there now that would be vulnerable to floods. Sort of saying to us that we can't build a centre that supports them and transition them back to independent living from the location where they are because it will flood occasionally is insane, because there are many hundreds of days, thousands of days in between these floods where we can be delivering this service and providing the support that's desperately needed to people in our community. So here's what we need to do. One, we need to reach out for ministerial support. The only way that we're going to be able to get this project approved within the Ipswich City Council region in Goodna, where we are, is with ministerial support. That's the only way that we can overcome the obstacle in the legislation. Two, the legislation is flawed. It's wrong. It doesn't provide any actual plan or strategic approach to dealing with homelessness or crisis, drug addiction. Any of these problems, these are not addressed within the Ipswich planning scheme. This is a major problem and a major, condemnation on what the council have been doing over the past 40 years. Because we know these problems are getting worse. We know that this is a reality. We know that the floods affect these. We know that we are considered to be in an ice belt where drug addiction and these problems are escalating every day, where homelessness is expanding now to the point where I've got people referring to me from everywhere across new developments like Springfield saying there are homeless people showing up in parks. This is a massive problem, and it's a major shortfall of our current planning legislation that these things aren't planned for or addressed, that there is no strategy to deal with the growing homelessness problem within Ipswich. There is no strategy to deal with drug and alcohol intervention services to prevent all of the ongoing social problems like crime, mental health, imprisonment and incarceration, and then the cycle of poverty that sort of stems from that. Like, these are major problems that are not being addressed, and for people in council who have the power to sort of say, well, there's nothing that we can do, I actually disagree. You guys are the only ones that can do something about this, and so I came in today to ask for their support. I know that there are obstacles here, but I don't want to hear what we cannot do. I want to hear what we are going to do to fix this problem. I am not going to stop. Helen is not going to stop. It's a good thing that I came into the council today, not Helen, because I'm sure she would have used a lot different language, and rightfully so, quite frankly. We all know it. We all love Helen. That's how she rolls. So what I need you to do right now is help me get this ministerial support. I'm calling out people to write me some letters. So we're going to address this to the Housing Minister, Mick de Brenning. We're going to address these also to Anastasia Palaszczuk. We're going to get a petition online today to say that we need to have this addressed, and we want to get ministerial approval to operate on this site. So we can get up and running. I had wanted this centre up and running for Christmas because this is the time when our services are desperately needed. I'm not sure whether this is going to happen now before Christmas because of the problems that we're going to have with council. So please get behind us. We need your support. We're going to make this happen. Watch this space.